Okay, well, welcome everyone for joining us tonight at our Design Commission meeting. As you may well know, our chair, Suzanne Czar, is not available this evening, and our vice chair term ended at the end of May, so we don't have a person in that position either. So under the circumstances, I will start our meeting and lead us through the first couple of actions that we need to take, including the election of our chair and our vice chair. So with that, bear with me. My video is here. My script is over here. So good evening and welcome to the July 3rd Design Commission meeting. The time now is 6:01. Maybe Ryan, you could do me a favor and kind of record some of this in the background for me so that I'm not typing at the same time. That would be great. I'm Deborah Estrada. I'm your Deputy City Clerk, and we'll be working with you tonight's meeting. The Design Commission meeting is being brought to you using video conferencing technology provided by Zoom. The Zoom video for this meeting is being broadcast live via Zoom and will be uploaded to the city's YouTube channel later this evening or tomorrow. Planning Manager Ryan Harriman is here along with other staffs participating in tonight's meeting remotely. Public audience members may be listening to the meeting by telephone using the Zoom teleconferencing application or joining in person at Mercer Islands Community Event Center. Welcome to all and thank you for joining us tonight. Commissioners, if you could please ensure that your microphones are turned on for the roll call, and I will call you by name. Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Atkinson.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Grambois.
Present.
Commissioner Zhu.
Present.
Thank you. Chair Czar is absent and requested an excused absence. Commissioner Ladigan.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Bottano, I don't see him in the room. Let me check our attendees room and see. Nope, he's not in the attendee room. And Commissioner Laura, excuse me if I don't say this correctly, Uskovic is also not present. We have quorum. Excuse me?
Sorry, I see that name, I think, in the attendees list.
Yeah, I'll promote her.
Thank you. Okay. I did not see that readily, but it's not a name I've been accustomed to looking for, so my apologies.
Hi there. Can you guys hear me now? I'm trying to figure out this.
We can hear you. There you are. Okay, I've counted you as present. So thank you for joining us. I apologize. I didn't see your name in the waiting room. Okay, I'm going to do my best to recognize everybody as your hands are raised as we go through this process. But as soon as we have a chair or a vice chair on board, I will turn over the reins and we'll go from there. All right. So for tonight, the next item of business, or our first item of business, is appearances. The appearances is the opportunity for anyone to speak to the commission on any item. I will tell you though that as of 4 o'clock today, which is the cutoff time, I did not receive a request to speak, and so there are no appearances for tonight's meeting. So moving on to the next item and the first item of regular business, we have the approval of the May 16th, 2024 meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Commissioner. And do we have a second?
I'll
I
second.
Who was that?
I think Commissioner Letkin said it, but mentioned it first.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on that item? If there's no discussion, there's a motion and a second on the floor to approve the minutes of the May 16th meeting, and I'll call the roll call. So Commissioner Atkinson.
Approved.
Thank you. Commissioner Ladigan.
Approved.
Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Perfect.
Excellent. Commissioner Grambois.
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay. Commissioner Zhu.
Approved.
Thank you. And Commissioner Uskovic, is that correct?
Leskovich and all the same.
Eskovich. Eskovich. Okay. I'm going to work on that. Bear with me if I don't quite get it right tonight. Okay. And did you say you abstained or you vote yes?
I abstained. Was not there.
I will tell the commissioners, under Robert's Rules of Order, you do not need to be present at a meeting to vote for the approval of the minutes. Basically, when you choose to approve the minutes, you are relying on those that were present and trust that they know that they were accurate minutes. But I certainly honor your desire to abstain also. I just wanted you to know that you can vote yes in these circumstances. And then Commissioner Ano is absent. So we had 3 in support and 2 abstentions, and so the minutes pass. Okay, so the next item of regular business is the election of a chair and a vice chair. If you may have read in your agenda packet, the Design Commission's bylaws are silent on the process. And so what we are using is the City Council rules of procedure in this case, or what's been basically adopted by our Planning Commission and other commissions in their bylaws of recently. And all of that was done to provide consistency in our bylaws with the City Council. So that being said, the process dictates that commissioners shall elect a chair or a chair and a vice chair for a term of 1 year from amongst themselves at the June meeting, or in this case, as soon as possible thereafter, or upon the vacancy or resignation of the commissioner filling the chair or vice chair position. For tonight's meeting, what we will do is we'll first call for nominations for a chair. If there is only one nominee, it's appropriate to make a motion and obtain a second to instruct the Deputy City Clerk, myself, to cast a unanimous ballot for that nomination for chair. Approval is by majority of a vote of the commissioners present. So the elections will continue until the chair and vice chair are elected by a majority vote of the commission. Upon the election of the chair will then proceed in the same fashion with the election of the vice chair. If the chair prefers, I can continue that process and conduct the election of the vice chair. So at this point in time, I'll entertain motions or nominations, for a commissioner to serve as chair for a period of 1 year.
Deb, can I have a point of inquiry here?
Certainly.
The commissioner doesn't have to be present, do they, to be nominated?
That's correct. They do not need to be present. You can choose from everyone that's appointed. So there are 2 commissioners that are not present tonight. Commissioner Bottano and Commissioner Czar are not present this evening. However, either one of them could be nominated to serve in either the chair or the vice chair role. Commissioner Grumbaugh, I see that you have your name up, or your hand up.
I nominate myself.
Okay. Bear with me. I'm just going to make some notes here as we're going along, because unless you are continuing to track this for me, Ryan. Okay.
I'm marking it down.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other nominations for the chair? Commissioner Atkinson, I see that your hand is up.
I nominate Suzanne Czar.
And Commissioner Ladigan, your hand up was up as well.
I had the same nomination for Suzanne Czar, vice chair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any other nominations this evening? Okay, with that being said, we have 2 nominations on the floor. I'm going to again beg for your patience as we go through this process. If there's more than one nomination, if there's multiple nominations in this case, what we'll do is we will conduct the election of the chair by roll call vote. So to be elected, the nominee needs a majority vote of the Planning Commission. Each commissioner will cast their vote for one of the nominees via roll call vote. I'll call the roll on the nominated commissioners, in the order that they were nominated. In this case, we have Commissioner Grambois and Commissioner Czar. Commissioners will respond with aye, nay, or abstain. The first nominee to receive a majority vote will be elected chair. Does that make sense to everyone, or are there any questions? Okay. So with that being said, we'll start with Commissioner Grambois. And I will go through the different individuals and you can say aye, nay, or abstain. Commissioner Atkinson,
Nay.
Commissioner Grambois.
Yay,
Was that yay?
yay,
Okay. Commissioner Shu,
Abstain.
Commissioner Ledigan,
Nay.
Commissioner Uskovich,
I abstain.
and Commissioner Bottano is not present. So I have 2 nays, 2 abstains, and 1 in favor. So in this case, I believe that is the vote is canceled out because we don't have a majority of the individuals present to elect Commissioner Grambois. So we will proceed to our next candidate, which is Commissioner Czar. Okay, Commissioner Ladigan,
Um,
or
sorry,
Commissioner, you're voting for Commissioner Czar at this point.
aye.
Okay. Commissioner Grambois,
nay,
Commissioner Zhu,
Abstain.
Commissioner Ushkovich,
Abstain.
and Commissioner Atkinson.
Aye.
Okay, so we are in the same situation. We do not have a majority of the planning commissioners present to elect a chair or a chair at this point. I shouldn't say vice chair. So the option is we can vote again. And the 2 individuals that are abstaining can choose to vote, or we can hold off on electing a chair, I guess, until the next meeting at this juncture. But we have to have a majority of those present in order to elect a chair. Is there a desire to take another vote, or shall we just continue on to vice chair?
I would like to propose might be better for us to move to vice chair when we have more members available, since there are 3 members out.
There are 2 members out.
Sorry, since there are 2 members out, I think it might be better for us to wait. What are the
Okay.
other commissioners' thoughts?
Okay, that is fine. Let me take just a moment to take some notes here so that I'm getting this correctly. Okay. All right. With that, do we have nominations for a vice chair?
I would like to nominate Commissioner Zhu if he's open to it.
Sure.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, then I will entertain a motion from the commission nominating Commissioner Zhu as vice chair. Is there a motion?
All motion, yes.
Is there a second?
I'd second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion? All right, there being no discussion, we'll go to a vote. Commissioner Ushkovich,
Aye.
Commissioner Grandbois,
Abstain.
Commissioner Ladigan,
Aye.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Aye.
and Commissioner Zhu.
Aye.
With that, we have 4 votes nominating or appointing at this point Commissioner Zhu as our vice chair. Commissioner Zhu, are you comfortable leading the remainder of the meeting? If so, I can email you the script for tonight's meeting. Or if you would prefer, we can continue to lead it on your behalf. Whatever you're most comfortable with.
I can give it a try.
Okay. I'm going to recommend that we take just about a short break, just a couple of minutes, if you don't mind, all, so that we can clean up what we've done here, and I can email over the script to Commissioner Zhu. Okay, I'll ask you to turn off your cameras if you would please, and we'll just take a 5-minute recess until 6:23. Thank you. Just waiting for 2 more commissioners to join us. Okay, I believe that's everyone. Welcome, Vice Chair Zhu, and I will turn the floor over to you.
Thank you. The third item under special business is a public hearing for Design Standard Review 24-013. The public hearings to review an application for the Island Square Apartments to discuss repainting of 5 separate existing buildings that are suffering from discoloration, peeling, flaking, and general aging. Individuals wishing to make public comment on this agenda item may do so by telephone or by using the Zoom teleconference application. The Deputy City Clerk will call on you by name or telephone number when it is your turn to speak. The public hearing is now open as of 6:23 p.m. Those wishing to provide public testimony, please speak audibly, state your name for the record, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Deputy Clerk, is there anyone who has signed up for public comment that wishes to address the commission?
Thank you, Vice Chair. No, we have not had anyone sign up to speak, and I don't see anybody in the waiting room raising their hand, so there's no one to speak.
Cool. So if there's no further testimony, the public portion of this hearing is now closed as of 6:23 p.m. With us tonight to discuss this item is Senior Planner Molly Maguire. Welcome, Molly.
You. So this is an application, as you said, for the repair or repainting of discolored paint for the Island Square Apartments, consisting of 5 buildings in the town center. Staff has reviewed the application for consistency with the standards in the Mercer Island City Code under section 19.11 for town center development and design standards. And based on the findings and conclusions found in the staff report, recommends approval subject to the recommended conditions of approval of permit number DSR 24-013 for the repainting of the 5 buildings that make up Island Square Apartments. The applicant has prepared a brief presentation to go over the changes that were made in response to the recommendations made by the Design Commission during the study session on May 16th. And 1 public comment was received during the public comment period for the public hearing. So with that, I will welcome Ellie Kreutz and Jonah Ziebler for a presentation and to address that comment.
Thank you, Molly. Ellie was actually having a little bit of trouble getting in. Do you mind just promoting her to speaking capabilities here? All right. Thank you very much. Ellie, go for it. All you.
Nice to meet you. Ellie Kreutz, Senior Interior Designer at MFID Interiors, which is a local design firm to Mercer Island. So just wanted to share with you our updated presentation. There was minimal comments from the last presentation that we had shared with you. So we can quickly just kind of cover the other pages quickly and then show the updated renderings. So can everybody see my screen all right? Good. Okay, perfect. So top left-hand corner, just a quick review. Here is our 28th Street, and then this is 78th Street. So this is using as a legend. The blue identifies as no work shown because this building does not have any painted facade to it. So the elevations we'll be looking at are for building A, B, C, and D. Yellow here indicates the elevation shown to the right-hand side. So existing, what we did update on these renderings is to show the existing awnings in relationship to the new proposed colors for each facade here. So this darker green is representing the existing awnings to remain. No color changes here from our last meeting, as there were no suggestions. Oops. going on to building B. Now we're on the west side of the building. Again, just updated showing our existing awnings. At these two buildings, both B and D, there is a color change for the awnings to a dark blue. So you'll see that represented in the updated colors for this facade. Nothing changed from the previous presentation that we had last month. Building C here, this is our main main facade that also houses the leasing office and also some of the amenity spaces. So using more of an accent color in this main facade here. This is one of the suggestions that we had from the last presentation, is updating this color here shown as marker A, the elusive green. So we did update that. Previously, it was more of a beige color. So we wanted to bring back in the elusive that is found on both. This would be the southwest corner and the northwest corner here, to kind of tie in all three of those facades across. Looking here at building D, showing again those existing awnings as the dark blue. No color updates, but you can see the tie-in of that marker color A for the elusive green. And then just a quick overview of all of the facades together, showing A over here, and then the full western elevations. So that's our updated presentation. We feel pretty strongly about these color choices. You know, it does reflect colors that are found in surrounding buildings, but also keeps like a modernized longevity of the colors, kind of going for more of a timeless palette, but something that has a nice contrast with those existing elements to remain. And Jonah, you can add anything if you feel necessary.
No, I think Ellie, thank you very much. I think you pretty much covered everything we wanted to talk about here. Yeah, as you mentioned, the really main goal here, livening up the property, but also keeping it, consistent, not only consistent with the rest of the island, but also, inoffensive and not sticking out too much by any means, but tying in with the rest of the island and existing surrounding buildings, all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think Ellie, you covered it great.
Thank you.
So commissioners, is there a motion to adapt the staff findings and conclusions contained within the staff report and approve the proposed development subject to the recommended?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. I think, from what I remember, Ellie, your previous presentation was really pretty good, and this is a nice refinement. I don't think any of the other commissioners were on the call. I was, but I don't remember anybody else. I think I would definitely like to make a motion to approve these slight changes, and I think it's a really phenomenal job that you've done in general, and the refinements certainly just get it to the next level. Thank you. So yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve as is.
Thank you. Deputy City Clerk, please conduct a roll call vote. Commissioners, please turn on your microphones.
Vice Chair Zhu, is there a second on the floor for the motion?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a second? Commissioner Atkinson?
Yes, I second the motion. I was at the meeting for the last examples, and I also really like the update.
Ellie, could I ask you to please stop sharing your screen for a moment, please?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. The next question can be if there's any discussion before proceeding to a vote.
Is there any does anyone like to have any discussion before we proceed to a vote?
Doesn't appear that anybody wants to speak to the motion, so we can proceed with the vote if you're comfortable with that, Vice Chair.
Yes, I'll be comfortable. Could you please conduct a roll call?
Certainly. Commissioner Latigan.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Ushkovich,
Aye.
Commissioner Grandbois,
Aye.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Aye.
and Commissioner Zhu.
Aye.
Excuse me, Vice Chair. Okay, thank you. Motion passes. Thank you.
So the motion passes and the project's approved. We'll move on to the second item on the regular business, which is a study session for the Design Standard Review 24-012 to review and discuss a new common building at Covenant Living, which includes on-site dining venues, resident activities, administration and marketing offices, as well as all the facilities and maintenance related spaces. With us tonight to discuss this item is Planner Manager Ryan Harriman. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you, Vice Chair Zhu. Ryan Harriman, Planning Manager, City of Mercer Island. I hope everybody can hear me. I've been having difficulty with my microphone today, so bear with me if it cuts out. With us this evening, we have Randy Gross and his team from Covenant Living. They're going to provide us with a presentation of the proposal. This is quite a large proposal in comparison to what some of the commission has reviewed previously. So this was going to take a bit of work. This is one step in a very long process of review. The study session portion is for the applicant in the design commission to interact with each other and ask questions and provide some input as to what they feel is could be looked at for the design and improved upon. So just note that the design is still growing because we have the site design to look at, we have the landscaping to look at, we have the lighting, other things like that, which is not ready at this point. But what we're talking today about are two things mostly. One is the building height, which is regulated by Chapter 19.03 of the Mercer Island City Code. And we have the design standards regulated by Chapter 19.12 of the Mercer Island City Code. And those are for development outside of town center. So what we do is we would discuss the height as it pertains to the proposed application, and then go through the proposal and let the commission take a look at it and provide any feedback they feel is necessary for the applicant to move forward with a successful application when we see that come in for a formal review process. So with that, I invite Randy Gross. And where's Dustin? I see Dustin somewhere on the screen. There you are. Do you have your presentation prepared that you can share with the commission?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Okay, I will turn it over to you folks.
Okay, well, I was going to do just a kind of a brief introduction about just a little bit about us, and then I was going to turn it over to Dustin. So just to be respectful of everybody's time, just to give a little bit of an overview. So anyway, my name is Randy Gross. I'm the Senior Vice President of Project Development with Covenant Living Communities and Services. We have communities across the United States. We've been here since the late 70s or early 80s. We started, we acquired this community, and then we built onto it, and we've added 4 other buildings since we've been there in the last 5 decades. We are a continuing care retirement community. So what that means is you come in as a independent living, and as you need more help, you can go to assisted living, or you can go to skilled nursing, or if you need some memory care, you can go to assisted living memory care, all within the same campus. So you have sometimes you'll have a spouse that'll be living independent living, and maybe their spouse will be living in skilled nursing or assisted living. But it provides, and once you're in, once you're in, we don't kick people out. We're a not-for-profit organization, and people generally stay their entire life, live their life out here. So we have about 326 residents. That includes apartments, and also it includes all of the healthcare units like the skilled nursing and the assisted living. We have around 150 staff employees that come to the community that often park and then are shuttled in here. So you imagine, you know, the long commutes in Seattle, and then you're parking and then you're shuttling and adding another 20 minutes to your commute. So we do want to, in this replacement of the lodge, we would like to include parking in that. So currently, generally in a community this size, we would have about 40,000 square foot of common space, many different dining venues. Currently in this lodge, we have one formal dining room and then a little snack shop. That's really it. Our proposal is to have 3 different options for dining: a bistro, a formal dining room, and a coffee shop, all kind of looking at the water. And we really want to just try to, we've waited a long time to do this. We really want to maximize our footprint here to build what we can that will fit within the community and fit within the regulations, but really offer a lot and give our residents something that they can be really proud of, some spaces. We've had in the last 20 years, we've always had a waiting list to come onto the community. As soon as apartment is vacated, we renovate it and somebody moves in, we call the waiting list. And so we'd like to definitely add apartments into this project. Outside of that, with the cost of building on the island and just within our location, it's really important for us to be able to add at least 14 apartments on top of the community or in front, so we can help bring more residents in, help our waiting list, but then also help pay for the community. As the more residents we have, the help pay for the lodge, because this is really a non-revenue producing space without the apartments. We do a lot with the community. Obviously, we have the marina here. We have a lot of people on the island that actually share the marina, have their boat on the marina, and we offer a lot of community activity within our existing dining venues right now, and we cater to those community events. So we really like to think we're a good neighbor, and most of the people we have, quite a few of the people we have in the community are from Mercer Island, so they like to stay here. So I think with that, I hope I didn't take too long. I really want to turn it over to Dustin now, and he can talk about the design. And we've had several iterations of this. Recently, we reduced it 1 story because it wasn't really fitting in. Didn't seem like it was in compliance already. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dustin, and Dustin can talk about what we're proposing. And we definitely want your feedback, because we really want to move forward with this and start getting through the process. So thanks for your time, first of all, especially on tonight, and to hear our design. And we're really interested in hearing your feedback. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dustin.
Randy and Dustin, before you jump in too far, I do notice we have Commissioner Grambois, his hand is raised. She may have a question.
Thank you. Mr. Gross, are those dining options open to the community, or is it just for residents of Covenant Shores?
Well, in all of our communities, they're generally opened up to the community. Right now, family members can come, but we really have such a small dining venue, we really don't have the capacity. But in the future, it would be open to the community for sure.
Thank you.
But we do have dining spaces. We have halls that have been used for different community meetings, event spaces that have been used, and we've catered food there. But we don't have, like, you can't come in and buy a cup of coffee, I guess. We're not set up for that, but we want to be.
All right, Ryan, should I go walk through this? Great, I'm gonna do a high level overview, and then, as Ryan said, stop and focus a little more on building height, because that has been a real challenge because of what Randy said, what we're trying to fit here. And we want to make sure that we're within the guidelines, as well as making sure we're not disrupting the community. So what's the visual on the screen is the existing community. The existing lodge is a 2-story building. It's actually projecting into the shoreline environment. So we do know there's some restrictions there. Our goal is to replace it in place, but also add on to the backside of it, which is outside the shoreline environment. And in doing all that, we want to make sure we're protecting the views of these existing residents. It is a challenging site because of the grade. There's a significant grade from the entry drive down to the water. This is our concept site diagram. Right now, today, there are 40 parking spaces on grade in this location. Our goal is to move those under the building, as well as provide additional parking for staff, the new residents and visitors. So essentially replace on-grade paving with this new structure. A portion of it is extending into the shoreline environment. We know there's a maximum 35-foot height restriction in that area. So that portion of the building is limited to 2 floors. It's primarily commons areas with the dining rooms, the wellness, health and wellness on the lower level, and more or less the resident activity spaces. And then the main building on the lower floors is additional common space with residential apartments stacked on top. We kept that massing outside of the shoreline environment, which gave us a 36-foot maximum building height to work with. And in addition to that, we did provide a single-story wing of units built into the hillside. Once again, to try and add additional units to the project without impacting the views of these existing villa residents that are going to be looking over it. This is a concept rendering of the new building. The portion that juts out towards the lake is that 2-story expansion or 2-story addition jutting off the main building. That is the main common areas with dining venues on the upper floor. All our health and wellness activities in the lower floor. It can spill out on the site to hopefully bring a lot of activities onto the site, create walking paths and activity areas all through the community. The main commons wraps back into the hillside on the first 2 levels. Those step back as it steps up the grade. And then step back on top of that, we've got 2 levels of single loaded apartments that do face the water, 5 units per floor. The arm that extends out to the right is that single-story wing of units that are built into the hillside with some green roof, some terrace space up there, and hopefully some outdoor shade structures to get the residents outside. So essentially, we've got 4 floor plates we're working with. The first one, the garden level, is built into the hillside. That's where we have 2 levels of underground parking. Those are the ones that are going to make up the existing as well as provide the additional parking. Hopefully offset some of the need to shuttle in staff, give them some parking under the building, off the site, out of view. On top of that is our primary level of commons, where we'll have all of our dining venues wrapped around a new central kitchen. We've got a multi-purpose room on that level that once again can reach out to this community as well as the greater community to have events hosted there, cater events, make it easily accessible at the front door. And then on the upper floors, we have the additional resident units. So we got some primary common spaces we're trying to accommodate. As Randy said, the current lodge is only about 16,000 feet. It falls well short of what a typical community is needing as far as amenities, dining venues, expectations to meet the current expectations of the marketplace, as well as keep up with the rest of the Covenant family of communities. We want to make sure that the Shores residents are getting what the other communities are getting. So this is primarily the dining level. Once again, open up to the views, stepping back the structure to create outdoor covered terraces, take advantage of indoor-outdoor connectivity. The low level below that is primarily our wellness level, our service area tucked under. It's located in the current location, just better laid out, better access for truck traffic, and also an improvement for allowing fire truck access to the courtyard behind the building. All those are improvements over what's out there today. This new deck, as I said, it accommodates 65 spaces, so it exceeds what's necessary for the new 16 units. The single-story wing, once again, a single-loaded condition. We know that comes at a premium cost, but we felt that tucking that into the hillside in treating the roof as green roof and blending it in visually with the site was going to be worth the trade-off in cost. Upper levels, maximizing units, providing as many water views and corner units as possible to once again try and meet the needs of the waiting list. Flat roofs, we're looking at flat roofs, and I'll talk about some of the architectural style that we're trying to incorporate. And I think the flat roof is playing into that, as well as dealing with the height limitations. So we do have a tough graded site. There's a significant slope down to the water. We're utilizing that as a way to get down to our parking entrance and then drop down half level to our new service area, and then provide that fire truck access out to the courtyard beyond. This is a massing model because we wanted to take the time to develop a massing model because of the complexity of these floor plates. And that's what plays in a little bit to the complexity of calculating the heights, because we have so many step backs in the building, primarily to try and visually lessen the impact on site, meet the requirements, offer some interesting architecture, all knowing that it does come with a premium cost, but we know that this is a difficult site and some of that's just going to be part of the project that we have to deal with. So essentially, this is the side of the building that I said dropped down to the parking deck access. The parking deck has 2 levels underground that would be transition in that floor plate to the lower level. And then as you continue down that service drive, there's a service area, and then beyond is the courtyard. So this wing on the right side is a 2-story in the shoreline environment, and that main building beyond is just outside of that environment. You could see the dash line here where we kept the higher massing outside, and the benefit to that was also allowing us to create some terrace space. So some of those residents have premium terraces at their units, as well as on the lower levels where we have our common spaces. We're creating a lot of outdoor opportunities for residents to get outside. So as far as our style, we're trying to pull in a lot of the vernacular on Mercer Island, as well as the surrounding area. That's where some of the elements like the flat roofs, the deep overhangs, some architectural elements like beams and brackets, a lot of glazing in the common areas. We want to make sure that the residents are getting the advantage of the views and natural light. We want to make sure this is a really active building when it's said and done. Some of the materials like the steel, the metal accents, the natural stone, as well as incorporating some residential elements like lap siding or board and batten. This is a conceptual rendering of the front elevation. So this would be the new iconic arrival to the community. We did angle the building so it was more addressing the entry drive as you approach the community. New cover drop-off, a significantly larger structure to cover multiple cars as you enter the building. So if we are hosting events from off-site, there is a chance to get undercover, get inside. The new front lobby, we want to create a lot of glazing there, open it up, as I said, the iconic element at the front door. But then on those upper levels, kind of step back the architecture so the residences are up there, but they're not as the primary focus as you arrive to the building. And in this rendering, you can see the drive down and the access into the parking level. We did feel like incorporating some natural stone, some regional stone into the project at the base would help anchor it to the grade, anchor it to that slope site, and really give it a substantial base, as well as a nice textural accent. We did see the elevations having glass in the primary residence spaces, going more to punched windows in the units, but focusing more of the glazing in the common areas. Some of the accent colors, we would be looking at some of the color schemes that we see in and around Mercer Island, as far as cues as to a color palette. We're not trying to match the buildings on site. We do want to complement them somewhat, but we would rather see this pull in some of the vernacular of Mercer Island than what's currently on site. Kind of start a new look and feel for the community. This is a different type of building, so we felt that it can stand apart from the rest of the architecture. So this is an elevation of the backside from the water, approximately standing at the harbor at the dock, looking back. On the left side, that two-story space would be the dining on the upper level, multiple venues on the glass, some outdoor covered space for dining. And then on the lower level, all of our fitness, aerobics, spa and salon. Once again, having the views to the water, get people down there to exercise because they've got the view of the natural light and also the spill out onto the site. So that indoor-outdoor connection is really important to us. It actually increases your usable footprint when you start thinking of the outdoor spaces as rooms connected to your program. And then beyond, we've got the base that's merged into the hillside with some stone accents. Up there, we'd probably focus in some of our glass railings in the primary common areas where you'd have diners that wanted the view with unobstructed views. We'd focus in some glass railings. Up here on that middle portion would be that cafe bistro space. Once again, chance to spill outside, undercover, open air, views to the water. And then tucked back on the upper levels, once again, set back to give some of that roof for resident terraces are the residential levels. Once again, going to a product more like cementitious, something that's going to be durable, but more residential in feel. So it starts to separate the community spaces from the residential spaces. And this is a straight on elevation of the back and side view. And as I said, it's a little tough to see this building because of the steps, which is why we went through the exercise of the mass models and the renderings. And then as Ryan touched on, we had some challenges with heights as we are trying to replace a building that's just a lot smaller and not meeting the needs, but also trying to get some units incorporated. These are the sections we looked at. We are in a MF3, which is 36 feet or 3 stories in height, whichever is less. And as far as calculating, because of the grade changes and the fact that no elevation or very few elevations sit on a flat grade, there are some calculations of building height that we've been referring to in the 1911 030 section, as far as calculating average grade, which we're measuring up from. So this is an overlay of those elevations to hopefully try and simplify some of that code height restrictions applied to the elevations. Because of some of these elevations where we do have a consistent flat grade at the face of the building, that's where we're setting our 36-foot maximum height. Not that whole elevation is going to meet that 36 feet, but we are setting that as our not to exceed. Some of the portions where we step forward are going to come in a little lower than that. And hopefully that'll visually step down the building so that we're not maxing out 36 feet on all the facades. And then down the side is probably the most challenging location because of the access to the parking deck as well as the service area. We did look at building out some site walls and incorporating some landscaping so that some of the portions that are necessary to reach every level of the building, such as stairs and elevator cores, that visually and physically we're not exceeding 36 feet from the roof height down to the grade at that portion of the building. And that's primarily the center portion. And then you can see as we transition to the shoreline environment, we're holding that at a strict 35 feet from the lowest elevation around the building in that area, and nothing is to exceed the 35 feet. Once again, this is looking at the back elevation. This one's a little tough as well because this two-story portion does protrude forward. So we were taking our calculations up to the top of that portion. And then that single-story wing, obviously that falls in well under the requirements. And hopefully that's something that we're keeping that down for current resident views as well, not just maintaining the height limitations. And then the opposite side, you can see the shoreline environment once again, the two-story projecting out, keeping under the 35, and then stepping back up to a portion of the building at 36, where we got the resident units, and then dropping back down to our new covered drop-off structure at the front of the site. This is a diagram, a section cut through the site. I know it's just trying to show a lot on this, but it's showing a comparison to the existing structures. As Randy said, some of these structures, like the one on the left, they're fairly recent. It's probably a decade or two ago, but it's more recent than some of the structures. You can see how that steps down the site, and we're trying to really engage the hillside, tuck as much under the grade as possible, and not just meet the height restrictions, but try and maintain as many resident views as possible. And once again, a section cut a little deeper through the building, where we're cutting through the residential floors. And hopefully this indicates how we're trying to step the floor plates back to really reduce the mass of those residential floors so they don't overpower the kind of the visual impact to this new building. So I'm sorry I went through that really fast. I just wanted to try and cover all the bases, and that's all I have. So Ryan, questions, anybody? Be happy to.
I think
Yes.
just a question from Commissioner. Sorry, Commissioner. Sorry, my Zoom's not showing the full name. I apologize.
It's Granbois.
Granbois.
Hi, thank you. On this picture that you have on the screen right now, with your cursor, can you just like scribble around where?
Right there. I'm sorry, it's a little cut off. That is the parking lot that we would be replacing.
And the building that you would be removing?
We're not, well, the building removing. There you go. That's the building we're removing. So
And then
that,
the parking lot is behind it.
yes, the
like
parking
towards
lot's
Mercer.
behind the landscape.
Okay. And this has nothing to do with this question. That building that is currently used as the dining room, so there are no residences there?
That's correct. It's all common spaces.
Okay. And so during construction, no one will have to be moved?
That is correct.
Okay.
No
Thank you.
impact to existing residents.
Commissioner Osvik.
For that building you're removing, is there any historical significance to it? Is that the old lodge from prior to Covenant Shores living?
Yes, it is the old lodge prior to Covenant Shores, but it's falling apart. There's not actually footings on it. It's just pilings that have been driven into the ground. And we're constantly in violation of having to do certain things. We've removed all the porches around it, and there's a lot of rotted wood, and and there's really no historical significance.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lagan.
Yeah, Dustin, does this seem like you've met your program and the massing is pretty much where you need to be?
Well, thank you.
Is the concept pretty much meeting the brief? Is this what you're hoping to take forward to design development or SD?
We would like to move forward and get more detail into the actual design. We feel like we've got the massing we need. If we can tighten things up, we'll tighten things up, but yeah, we'd like to take the next step. It's been a long journey to get to this point.
So you're fine on traffic, you're fine on fire trucks and presumably some sort of neighborhood review. So it's really design commission input if there's any, correct?
Yes, we've been looking
Yeah.
forward to this meeting with your group.
Okay, well, from my perspective, I think this is a really nice step up. I've lived on Mercer Island for a while and everybody knows and appreciates Covenant Shores, and I think the addition of these amenity spaces and the extra amenities really give it a nice step up. The aesthetics are particularly attractive. And I'm pleased to see that you're not trying to integrate to the existing aesthetic. There's nothing wrong with them, but taking it more in the northwest direction will give the site a lot of runway in the future. So thank you for a wonderful presentation.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Grambois.
Thank you. Logistically, how will you this might be a question for Mr. Gross, but how will it be determined who can live in the new units that have that beautiful view and they're essentially on the waterfront? Will it be like as it is now? Or will you have a new sort of system?
No, they will be, it won't be any current residents, because in order for us to make this work financially, when we build new units, we generally get people, we go to our waiting list and we go to people, from the outside. And the waiting list is, kind of first in and first out. So we would probably go through our waiting list first and then advertise, which we don't think we'd even have to advertise to fill the other units. If that makes sense.
It does. And I'm assuming these units will be for people who are able to do everything on their own. I don't know what the correct term.
Yeah, no, it's for independent living. These are
okay.
independent living units, and they come in generally on the younger end, and then as they age and progress, they can get other services if they're needed.
Thank you.
I had a question, kind of just looking at the picture around trees, and I assume some trees will need to be removed. Are there any considerations that per city code that we need to be aware of?
We actually, Dustin, you can talk a little bit more, but we actually started with an arborist report, and we're working through. And originally, the new building was going to be a lot closer to the property line. Now we've moved it further away from the property line to give us a little bit more room for trees, give us a little bit more breathing room, and actually create a better fire access. So when the firemen, like right now, the fire department doesn't have access to the whole front of the campus, but now they will. So we've kind of pushed it away, and we'll do the best we can, absolutely, to any trees we take down to replace them as per your requirements.
Got it. Thank you.
If I can jump in here, Vice Chair, the
Please.
Department of Ecology has already reviewed this project from a preliminary standpoint through the several pre-apps that we had, and they provided a set of commentary for the applicant to consider and review, because there are trees that are in the shoreline environment that are going to have to be replaced and replanted, and things are going to have to be adjusted a little bit. When you look at the current drive and the current way it's laid out, there are certain landscape provisions within the code that they're going to have to meet. For instance, there's the screening requirement between residential and this use, so that'll have to be looked at in the future. It may have to be moved a little bit more, but that's something that the city staff will be working with the applicant going through this process. Just to remind everybody, this is going to be a long phased tiered approach to get back to design commission, because as you know, no permits or authorizations for construction can take place until the design commission provides their determination or provides their approval of the proposal. So we have a whole slew of shoreline permitting that we have to go through, which includes a shoreline conditional use permit, which is a process that goes through a hearing examiner, public hearing, decision by the city, and then it goes to the Department of Ecology for their approval. So we'll work with the applicant on getting that process put together, and then at the same time we'll be looking at the plan set that comes forward with the application, and getting it ready to come back to the design commission for your full review in the foreseeable future. But trees are definitely looked at. We look at trees on every project, and there may be some that are required to be replaced. In fact, I know there's going to be replacement trees required.
Oh, got it. Thank you. Any other comments? Commissioner Atkins?
Yeah, I just wanted to speak up and say that this is a really nice presentation, and Covenant Shores has always been a good community partner. I'm looking forward to seeing more. The aesthetics look great. I'm a landscape architect. I'm just looking carefully at how this site will be used by residents, the outdoor spaces. So I look forward to seeing more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. We're looking to hear your feedback as we dig deeper into the drawings.
So if I could throw something in here just for the sake of providing some contextual information. The building was higher at one time. There was another story on it, but the applicant and staff worked together to kind of revise that layout because of the height restriction within the zone that it's in. There are multiple buildings on the site that I believe exceed the current requirements for height. I was able to dig through some history and find some zoning variances were approved in the early 90s for height adjustments. So that was kind of eye-opening when I was able to find those recently. But the way height is measured in this zone, for instance, the MF3, you get 36 feet or 3 stories, whichever is less. But then it tells you to go to the requirements in the town center code that talk about how you measure height on a grade. So the whole point of that is to limit visual mass, so it doesn't appear to exceed the maximum height, but you're going to exceed the maximum height in some sections of the building. And what you do is you look at the figure 4 in 1911-030A3 that talks about if you have a height at one side of the building, you can have the same height at the other side, but the elevations might be different. As long as your height doesn't change between the front and the back in that measurement, the stuff in the middle is going to be higher. So if you're back here at the back where it's a street, there's a car down here on the left-hand side. If you're looking towards the other side, it's going to appear to be a larger building.
Oh.
So that's what you have in this circumstance. It's difficult to calculate, and the applicant and our design team have done a fantastic job providing that visual representation of just how they're going to meet the code.
I agree, Ryan. When Dustin walked us through the whole cross-section of the site, I mean, everything that's proposed here looks a little less intrusive. That's everything that's existing. Yeah, it seems like, the proposed heights of new construction is a non-issue, really, from what I could tell.
Yeah,
Ryan
they did
spent a lot of
they
time
did a
with
fantastic job.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan.
Any other comments? Cool. I think we can move on and end the study session and move on to the next item of business. So that brings us to other business. We'll welcome Planning Manager Ryan Harriman.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Randy, Dustin, you're free to go, or if you want to stick around for the final portion of the meeting, you're more than welcome to. I want to say again, thank you for the great presentation, the work that you did on this project. It was some work to get it to where it needs to be, but I think we're in the right step, and I think that tonight was a good first step in that right direction. So I wanted to express my gratitude and thanks for that. With that, the Design Commission, as part of the study session, provides basically, they go through and provide any feedback to the applicant. So hopefully you had somebody taking notes, and you can always rewatch the video again to look at that.
Yeah, we have a couple of people taking notes, and thank you so much for all of your work, Ryan, for the past year, as we've been kind of going back and forth with this and trying to really make it the best design it can be. So, and thank everybody for your time, and have a great holiday weekend. I think we're going to sign off. Dustin, do you have anything to say?
Just a thanks to Ryan, and thanks to everybody tonight for this. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
So continuing on, we are in the midst of summertime, the summertime rush when it comes to applications and different things that are coming forward to the different commissions. You received an email today from a concerned citizen regarding a project that will come towards the commission here at a later date. Those comments will be added to the record, and the applicant will need to respond to those questions for the record when we move forward to that process, but that's going to be at a later time. There are several things happening on the island when it comes to development. The city staff is extremely busy. We have had some staff reorganization and some promotions within. Senior planner Molly McGuire now is senior planner. She was a planner. She's going to be taking on a more strategic role when it comes to code writing and providing some legislation updates for the council to review to ensure that we are meeting some of our legislative mandates that have been provided by the state legislature. We are working currently to build upon those items. We were fortunate that the council was able to approve some interim regulations as it relates to outdoor dining, temporary uses, and to be in compliance with Senate Bill 6015 that really limited what we can do for parking in certain areas, specifically residential areas, residential development. I mentioned last time that the code, when it comes to the Design Commission and your duties, when we look at this, it's going to have to take some significant adjustments because the state legislature basically ruled that nothing can be subjective, everything has to be objective. So you're going to have your bookends that you have to work in between, and they're going to have to provide, the applicants are going to provide just a compliance of how they meet the program or how they meet the design requirements of the code that is eventually adopted. So there's going to be some tweaks to that. We're going to have to go through the entire code and remove a whole bunch of stuff that the shalls and shoulds, make them shalls, and just tighten it up and make it so that they have a laundry list of items that they can do and what they can't do, and they can choose that. And as long as the commission looks at it and looks at the bookends and approves it, or looks at and sees that they're following the rules, they're inside the regulations, then I believe that they can move forward with their project. But it's less of internal design from the Design Commission, but more of reviewing their project for consistency with the code. So I wanted to make sure that we're aware of that moving forward. It's a lot different than, you know, a lot of places in Washington. A lot of places in Washington are going to have to adjust their codes because that's historically been how things are done. The design commission has, you know, a little bit of, you know, quite of a bit of authority when it comes to designing the way cities and towns look in the state of Washington. So it's a different approach the state legislature mandated that we have to take a look at. Other than that, I'm looking forward to the long weekend because I'm taking Friday off, and please let me know if you have any questions that I can answer for you.
Any questions? No. Cool. So there's no other business to come before the Design Commission. The time's now 7:17 p.m. and the meeting's adjourned. However, as a reminder to commissioners, please stay seated until city staff have terminated the Zoom broadcast. Good evening. Have a good 4th of July.
Thank you, commissioners.